Alright, so I have my knitting here in front of me. You can see I have got my rows of brioche going. I'm getting ready to make the number one row, row 1. This will be a right side row. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things first. Then I'm going to also model the rhythm of the brioche knitting. So as a reminder, we start out by slipping the first stitch with the yarn in the back, and of course we remember that we always slip purlwise. So we slip this first stitch purlwise with the yarn in the back. Then we get these two, what we've been calling an X, or the two strands together that are going to become our brioche or brick stitch, and I knit them together. So anytime I encounter that looking thing, these two strands, I'm always going to knit those together. So I know that this is row 1. I knit those together. Then I have on my needle a stitch that looks like a purl stitch. I know that this is something that I'm going to slip purlwise in order to make a slip 1 yarn over. So I bring my yarn to the front, I slip that purlwise, then remember my yarn is still here in the front. I insert my needle into these double strands in order to make a brick stitch, and I make a brick. I bring my yarn to the front, slip purlwise, insert my needle into those two strands to make a brick. My yarn is still here in the front, and I knit. Bring my yarn to the front, slip purlwise, yarn still in the front, slip my needle in there, and knit those two strands together. Yarn to the front, slip purlwise, needle in to knit those two together to make a brick, then knit. Yarn to the front, slip purlwise, needle in, and knit. Because this is row 1, I have this knit stitch here at the end, so I knit. Alright. Turn it over. I'm going to go ahead and model row 2. This is a wrong side row. As with every row, I slip the first stitch purlwise with my yarn in the back. Now, the first thing that I encounter on row 2 is a stitch that looks like a purl stitch. That means the first thing I want to do is to make a slip 1 yarn over. I do that by first of all bringing my yarn around to the front. I slip that stitch purlwise. My yarn is still in the front. Insert my needle into those two strands to make my brick stitch. Wrap to the front, slip purlwise, brick. Yarn 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 to the front, slip purlwise, and then I knit this final stitch. So I've just made one one row of row 1 and one row of row 2.